students of the day, welcome back children. Today we are going to move to the third part of the chapter 1 history, the rise of nationalism in Europe. We have already covered session 1 and session 2. Now in this session we are going to study about the unification process of Germany and Italy. We are also going to look into the process of nationalism that led to the imperialism and finally culminating in the World War I. Let us recapitulate children. So in the first session we discussed about the concept of nation state, and the idea of nationalism started with the French Revolution, and it created the basis for the other movement in the other part of the European territory also. During the 18th century, we have seen that the whole of the Europe was under the dominance of monarchy system. And we have also discussed about in class 9th also that how the France was divided into 3 states and how there was a process of exploitation. With the French Revolution, the idea of democracy, constitution was coming up. It also led to the idea of liberty. People started questioning their own system. Then with the coming of the Napoleon, he introduced his code which was exported to the other European part. That led to the feeling, a new expression of freedom. And he also reorganized the many part of the territorial areas in the Germany also. Because of his excessive expansion of territory, he was defeated by the powerful countries during that time, which was the great powers at 1815. And there was a Vienna Congress also. We have also seen that how the different ideas that was prevailing in the European areas like liberalism, conservatism, and the concept of aristocracy. The new group that came up was the liberal ideas. The liberal ideas did not believe in the society of privileges. So they started protesting against the powerful territorial and the monarchy system. This monarch and the new conservatives that was settled by Vienna Congress after 1815 was a new system. But they also realized that they cannot continue the way they were doing so. So they have to modify. So that's why the conservatives that came up after 1815 were also called new conservatives. Now these new conservatives believed in the change. The change was for their benefit. They also believed that since revolution had already taken place, they cannot continue. Now their idea of change was to strengthen the monarchy system. However, the revolutionary and the nationalist spirit continued with the people having their secret society in different part, and Giuseppe Mazzini was one of the great leader in this field. At the same time, there was a revolution in 1830s and 1840s, and there was an attempt made by the liberals to re-establish. So we have also seen that how Louis Philippe as a monarchy system was defeated and removed, and the coming of Frederick William IV, who was offered as a king of the France, but again he did not accept because he knew that he had to be under the control of legislature. From here we begins the march of the unification process of Germany and Italy. Children, let us start our lesson with the activity. The activity name is Know Your Germany. Let's begin the locating Germany. Look at the map. Go through the map properly. You have to note down some of the countries, some of the seas that you are going to see. On the basis of this map, we will try to figure out some of the important facts about Germany. It is known as KYG. Again, look at the map that we have seen. The first question is, which among the following country is not a neighbor of Germany? Option A is France, B Russia, C Poland, D Belgium. If you want, you can go back to the map and look at that. Now you should think why we are discussing about the geographical location of the Germany, because it is very important to understand how in the process of few years Germany become a country by defeating some of the important, very powerful countries which was around it. I hope by this time you are already aware with the answer. Now we move to the next question. Name the capital city of Germany. So option A is Berlin, B Bavaria, C Munich, D Hamburg. Very important to know, understand, because the capital city of Germany is one of the most developed city of the world also. Now look at the question number 3. It says, name any 3 important seas surrounding Europe. Now you have to understand that the excessive interference of Germany in the sea during the mid of 20th century also created the basis for another major event, that was World War II also. And because of its interference in the development of the warships and other kind of things, also forced US to enter the World War. Now, very interesting fact, and you are so much aware of the historical and technical changes that has taken place in Germany. Germany is world renowned for luxury cars. Apart from Italy, it is also very highly regarded in terms of the technology. Now I have given you some clue in the slide. You can go through that clue also. The question is, give any three famous luxury cars produced by Germany. For your benefit, I have given you the hint also. The first letter of the car company is given. Option A, V, option B, M, option C, B. At looking at this, you can understand. So you can see in modern day time how powerful and how developed Germany is. Now moving ahead with the activities. So with that activities, you might be aware that Germany moved from territorial areas towards a very developed countries. Now look at some of the important timeline process that will help you to understand. See, the unification of any country is not a single day event. Neither is a one-man role also. It takes place. It continues over a period of time with a lot of suffering, a lot of sacrifice by different people, different leaders. And if you look at the process of unification of Germany, some of the important events that helped in the unification process starts with the Congress of Vienna. As we have already studied in the session 1 that Congress of Vienna was established in 1815. Prior to that, Napoleon has created the concept of 39 Confederacy. Now this Congress of Vienna did not change that 39 Confederacy state that was created by the Napoleon. Rather, it left it untouched. Now in 1834, this also we have studied, the formation of Zollverein. The Zollverein had created the economic freedom. With this, there was a further movement of the revolution in 1830s and 1848. The liberals wanted to continue the idea of political freedom. So in 1848, a new constitution was created in which Frederick was offered the post of emperor. However, Frederick refused to accept it because he realized that he had to be controlled by the legislature. So he did not have the power to govern. So he joined the other kings to oppose this kind of revolution. And in 1859, we see how the Franco-Prussian alliance takes place. Moving to the next important event, in 1864 comes one of the greatest leader of the Europe, and he was Bismarck. Bismarck was appointed as the head of the parliament. From here onward, Bismarck takes the leadership of the Prussia in the unification process. And he was so clever, so smart and extraordinary diplomat of his time that we know that Austria was the greatest enemy of Prussia. So he joined hand with the Austria in defeating Denmark. Can you imagine? So he joined hands with the Austria. Finally, Denmark was defeated. At the promise of the Austria was kept. Austria was given some provinces which he did not like. Finally, after 2 years, there was a war. In 1866, Austria-Prussia war. Can you imagine a country which was friend for 2 years, just 2 years before, was made enemy, was instigated and provoked, and finally Austria was also defeated. We'll see how Bismarck was able to use his blood and iron policy also. Finally, in 1871, Bismarck defeats France. Again, he was able to isolate France. He was able to instigate Napoleon III, taking the first step towards the war. By 1871, Germany was declared as a nation, and Bismarck became the first chancellor. So through this timeline, you can understand the process of unification process. Now moving into the detailed part of the unification process. Germany was the part of the Holy Empire before it got dissoluted in 1806 by the Napoleon. So during the Holy Empire, Prussian Empire and Austrian Empire was the two powerful empire during that time. The expansionist policy of Napoleon has dissoluted this kind of territories, and he created 39 principally states, or you can say confederation of state, and tried to introduce his code that we have already studied. This civil code that he introduced in various parts created the basis for further movement of economic and political expression. So people started moving from one place to another. There was an easy trade system, there was easy movement, and in different parts of the European states, they realized the legacy of French Revolution also. And if you look the further there, the Vienna Congress, and you have already studied in the previous session also, that Napoleon was defeated in 1815. His defeat and the emergence of neo-conservatives. Why we call neo-conservatives, we have already discussed that these conservatives people wanted to re-establish the new system, but with the touch of 1789 field. So they wanted the re-establishment of monarchy system and also to resettle the some kind of changes that was done by the Napoleon. However, this was not their end, because the revolutionary who had already tested the idea of freedom, liberty, equality, the idea of constitution, established custom union. And in 1834, with the help of Prussia, Zollverein was created. We have already discussed about the importance of Zollverein, how it created the basis for economic freedom. And this economic freedom was supported by merchant, traders, new middle class. So Zollverein was the first major step towards the unification process that preceded political unifications. By 1848, the middle class had tested the success of Zollverein and came together and formed a new constitution at Frankfurt. Now, this Frankfurt parliament that was constituted did not created another success story, because the Frederick William IV rejected, because he rejected the power. He thought that it is useless to have a power without responsibility, without accountability, without power, because the new system of government that was to be established was to be restricted by the legislature. With the Frederick Wilhelm IV rejecting the throne, the mantle for unification process passed to the Prussia, and Prussia was led by none other than Otto von Bismarck. Bismarck is considered to be one of the greatest diplomats of his time. He used his extraordinary skills in discussion, persuasion and debate. He created the concept of blood and iron. Under his blood and iron policy, he was able to defeat three important kingdoms that had some kind of restriction in the process of unification. In first, he defeated Denmark, and then he defeated Austria, and then finally he defeated the France. You will be surprised to know all these three countries did not believe in the process of unification, especially Austria. But when he was fighting with the Denmark, he was able to isolate Austria and France. So when he was fighting with the Austria, he was able to isolate France. And finally in 1870, he was able to defeat France also. So moving ahead, in 1866, there was Austro-Prussian War. In this war, he successfully isolated Austria and getting support from the France, Italy and Russia. The promise was that France will be given his demand, Italy will be also look into their demand, and Russia will be also given it to the demand. Finally, with the defeat of Austria, one of the major and greatest challenge in the unification process was removed. North Germany Confederation was declared under the Prussia. Otto von Bismarck again used his extraordinary diplomatic skills to instigate French monarch to attack Prussia. And in the war that took place in 1870 and 71, France was defeated. Napoleon was defeated. In this war, he made Napoleon III as the instigator, and in the process, Prussia was able to defeat France. In 1871, Germany was declared as a new nation under the leadership of Bismarck. So he used his skill, diplomacy, bureaucracy, military strength to form the new country that was Germany. Now moving ahead, you will be going to the next round of process of unification that take place under Italy. Now if you look at the map of Italy, you will find that the Italy is divided into different parts. Looking from your northern side towards the southern side, you have different provinces. And it was Kingdom of Sardinia, you have Parma, Modena, you have Papal State, Kingdom Sicily and other places. Now we have already seen that Napoleon had created the confederations and other kind of places. He made Italy the part of Napoleon. The Vienna Congress again redivided the Italian provinces. Now during the middle of the 19th century, it was divided into 7 states, of which only one, Sardinia Piedmont, was ruled by the Italian princely house. Now this process of unification of Italy was under the different leaders, starting from their king, moving towards the Garibaldi and Cavour. They played an important role. But the foundation of Italian unification can be traced to the idea created by the spiritual fighter called Giuseppe Mazzini. The Mazzini himself, a person, believed that citizen and the people who becomes citizen was a part of a nation by inherent process and the natural process. He also believed it was the role of common people in bringing the process of unification process. So his approach was slightly different from the Bismarck, and he created the secret society, because as we already seen that conservatives did not believe in this kind of freedoms, idea, expression, democracy. So he established different secret society which inspired the other societies in other European territories also. His famous society was Young Italy, and he popularized this slogan, union, strength and liberty. This slogan became part of tricolor Italian flag also. After the Mazzini process and the failure of the revolution of 1848, Sardinia Piedmont under its ruler King Victor Emmanuel took the lead to the process of unification of Italian states through war. And he had a great chief minister called Cavour, which took the leadership of unification process. Through an alliance with Frederick ruler Napoleon III, engineered by the Cavour, Sardinia Piedmont succeeded in defeating the Austrian forces and got Lombardy in 1859. So with the leadership of King Victor Emmanuel II and Chief Minister Cavour, the process of unification was moving ahead with great spirit. Then we also see that Garibaldi, one of the retired army personnel, joined voluntarily with the process. A person with the heart wanted Italian to become a part. So his effort led to the unification of two Sicilies and getting support of the local peasant in driving out the Spanish rulers. In 1861, Victor Emmanuel II was proclaimed as the King of United Italy. Finally, in 1870, Franco-Prussian War took place, in which Italy got Rome. On 3rd February 1871, Rome was declared as the capital of Kingdom of Italy. So we have seen the process of unification in Germany and Italy. Now let us understand through an activity. So activity 2, let's compare Germany and Italy. So if you have already gone through the map of Germany and Italy, and if you have some current knowledge about the Germany and Italy, this will help you. So this activity makes you aware of the present day Germany and Italy with respect to the past and the process of unification process. So the activity begins. The first question is related to the capital city. Though we have already discussed and we had the idea of the capital city, so you have to tell us the capital city of Germany and Italy. I hope by this time you already knew that. Okay, now look at the currency. I have given you hint. You can understand this, that currency of Germany and Italy. There is an interesting fact about the Italy currency also and Germany currency also. Now they have moved from their traditional currency system towards the new currency system that was established with the coming of new association. So that was the hint. If you look at the picture, you will be able to get the answer. Now both Germany and Italy, they are a democratic country with the head of the government, but having the different name also. For example, in our country, we have the name of head of the government is Prime Minister. In same way, the head of the government of Germany is known as Chancellor. So you have to find out the name of the two leaders that they are leading Germany and Italy in the present time. Then both the Germany and Italy, they are world renowned in their sports system. They are world renowned in their hockey, in football also. So now you have to find out their national sports. So national sports of Germany and national sports of Italy. So through this activity you can connect with the past and with the present. We have also seen an interesting activity that we did about the Germany that showed us the great technological power of the Germany. Now till now we have discussed about in session 1, session 2 and session 3 about the concept of nation state, the spirit of nationalism. This has been considered to be one of the most powerful positive driven spirit that helps in giving the idea of freedom, liberty, equality. The center of study became people. People became the center of everything. Now prior to this we have seen that it was a king, monarchy system, aristocracy, conservatives looking into the field, but now with the nationalism people became the center of all kind of studies. However, this concept of nationalism, when it was mixed with extraordinary nationalist spirit, led to the idea of imperialism. And when nationalism and imperialism was again mixed, it created the basic which led to the World War I. And this spirit of imperialism, higher spirit of nationalism and colonialism together mixed with expansionist policy led to World War I. And World War I and World War II led to killing of so many people, unknown people, lakhs and lakhs people were killed, lakhs and lakhs resources were destroyed, people were frustrated with this. So idea which was so popular, so positive in nature, led to the negative and disastrous effect also. So in this topic we are going to see how this nationalism led to imperialism and how nationalism and imperialism led to World War I. So if you look at the concept of imperialism, you might have studied in class 8 in history that British came to our country and they captured it. So that process was colonialism. Now this colonialism was further developed in the 20th century in form of imperialism, where they might not have a direct political control, but the economic control was absolute. The spirit of imperialism was driven by desire of new market, to have the access to the resources to sell their product. At the same time, the new emerging country like Germany, Italy, they did not want to remain back. They wanted to expand their territories. They wanted to join the League of Great Britain, Russia and France in annexing the territories. So this intensity of expansionist policy in terms of economic ideas and the spirit of hyper-nationalism led to World War I. Now we are going to look into one of the case study that is given at the end of your NCERT lesson. The area is Balkan. Now Balkan is basically the Eastern European part. If you look at some of the countries in the Eastern Europe, you have Hungary, we have Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Bulgaria and other areas. Now this area gets the name after the Balkan mountains in the region. Now Balkans was a region of geographically and ethnic variations, as we have already discussed about the different countries present there, and they had a very common language that was Slav, and it is based on the linguistic group. Large part of the Balkans were under the command and control of Ottoman Empire. We have already seen Ottoman Empire in two parts. Remember how the Greece War of Independence, Greece was also under the command of Ottoman Empire. However, the weakening of Ottoman Empire created a different conditions in the Eastern Europe. These countries wanted to become independent. So with the weakening of the Ottoman Empire and these territorial areas, which was divided on the basis of linguistic language process, and they were jealous of each other. So they wanted to have an independence, and they believed that historically they were independent and they were subjugated by the powerful countries. So in one process there was a decline of Ottoman Empire. In other process, this newly created territorial areas wanted to become independent nation and they wanted to preserve. And the most dangerous was this powerful country wanted to intervene and annex these areas, and the newly in countries like Germany and Italy was also overexcited to enter this zone for the luxury of resources and for the market. So the Balkan area created a huge intensity of dangerous situation, and situation was so dangerous that even one incident of Serbian crisis led to World War I. So we have seen that the process of unification process, the creation of the new nation state, the hyper-nationalism and the Balkan issue, which was driven by the idea of becoming independent, created the foundation of World War I. So the Balkan areas and the interference of the powerful countries to annex this led to World War I. So with the Balkan issue, we come to an end of that chapter. Now let us check our progress. We'll do this by a small MCQ that we have done in session 1 also and session 2 also. Here I have added some more types of question. Now first question is true and false. We have already studied this. Bismarck was the Chancellor of Austria. True or false? Remember, Bismarck was the Chancellor of Austria. I hope you have got the answer by now. Then another great leader was Cavour. So question number 2 is, Cavour helped in unification of Germany. Again, you have to think about whether it's true or false. Now we have to match the column. So this will also test your understanding skill. So if you look at the column A, in column A it is given Victor Emmanuel, option B has Napoleon III, option C has Metternich. And if you look at the column B, you have Austria, Germany and France. So we have to match this column A with column B. That will also help you to understand the role of different leaders in different part of the European areas. Moving to the last question, we have already discussed. I wanted you to think over and ponder over it also, that why did Balkan issue led to World War I? Rethink that why this was so important issue that created the basis for World War I. So with this, children, we come to our end of the lesson and our session also. So with the 3 sessions we have discussed, it was created the concept of nation. So 3 sessions discuss about the process of the nationalism in Europe. And in 18th century, it was started from the France, taken ahead by the Napoleon. Then we have moved to the conservative regime also, where in 1815 the new conservatives idea came up. Then we have also seen the revolution of 1813 and 1848, and then we have also looked into the different setup during this phase, and there was a lot of economic crisis also, a lot of hunger, hardship also. And then there was also an element of romanticism in terms of the going into the past, searching over the folk cultures, the common cultures, the people ideas in creating the basis. You should also know that all the land which was abstract figure was given the concept of motherland or fatherland. You might have studied in nationalism in India that how India was treated as motherland. So some countries also gave the concept of fatherland. So it was given the proper shape. You might have also studied in nationalism in India how Vande Mataram concept was created by Bankim Chand Chattopadhyay, which was drawn by Rabindranath Tagore. In same way, you have also seen in the nationalism process in Europe the concept of Mariana and Germania. Then we have also seen the process of unification process of Germany, Italy. There is also a unique case of Great Britain, how the success of economic process helps to move the different areas to come into it. And we have also seen how the process of excessive nationalism led to the World War I. Thank you, children.